This year, I think it's been just brutal to watch. Haven't enjoyed it much, and oh gosh, I think it's going to be a really interesting 4 years. What do I think will happen? I think that there will be some negative repercussions either way. I think specifically if Trump doesn't win, I'm afraid he's going to throw a little temper tantrum, and we might have some bigger problems. And if Hillary doesn't win, I think it's going to be a really interesting 4 years. I'm very interested to see what happens.
Well, I think it's a disappointing election, probably the most disappointing one that I've had in my life. So, I think the two candidates are polar, looking at the extremes in America instead of the center. So I'm disappointed. I don't think there'll be much change. Thankfully there's 3 branches of government, and so I think that the executive office, if they're not representing the majority of Americans, they probably won't have a lot of traction. So I'm not that worried about it.
Boy, what a mess it's been. A lot of mudslinging, that's for sure. Well, I am very afraid for America if Donald Trump wins, because he's full of a lot of hate, and we really don't need hate in this world. I am more for Hillary Clinton because she understands how the whole system works, and I think that she could do a better job.
I think it's been entertaining. I think it's been, actually, while most people want to lament about the ugliness of it, which it certainly has been, I think it's actually been good for America. I think it has shown where some of our holes are in the political systems and where we don't have better options. Obviously for many years it's been talked about the third option that we need, beyond just 2 parties. So I think it's good. It's had some pretty ugly moments, some things we're probably not terribly proud of as Americans, but all in all, I think it's been good for it. I think it's gotten the youth, kids your guys' age, much more involved, which is why you're doing interviews like this. So, yeah. Well, I don't think is the question, because one of the 2 main candidates is going to win, and that's one of the challenges is we don't have a good third party. I think one of the neat things about America is while our commander-in-chief is holds a lot of power and is considered to be the top person in the free world, top leader in the free world, our political system supports and allows for a lot of checks and balances. So even though whichever candidate wins, I think it's pretty clear who will win. While their decisions about Supreme Court positions are very important, a lot of it will, it's interesting. I think if Clinton wins, you'll find her moving more towards the right. And then if Trump was to win, I think you would find him moving more towards the left. So I think whoever wins, you're going to have a more centrist view, a central view, a middle line view of kind of where the country should go. So I don't think it's going to be all that bad. I think it's, again, with our Congress and with, when you got the Senate and the House also participating in these things, you're not going to have a president be able to come in and just completely destroy the country as everybody, I think, is, fearing would happen. My own opinion is, again, I think it's important that, people under the age of 20 take an interest in these things. I think it's very important that not only do you understand the technical aspects of the positions and how the political process works, but as Americans, it's very important to take an active role in it and to be curious about it and to develop opinions. But once you've got your opinion, be careful not to shut it off. Make sure you're always listening to the other side. Yeah. No matter which way you lean, make sure you're always listening to, to the dissenting voice or the other voice that's out there, because that's important. That's what America's built on. There's a big combination of ideas and thoughts, and us coming together to listen to those is very important. So good for you guys.
Okay, thank you.
We're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't. It's the least appetizing electoral situation I've ever seen.
This year.
My opinion, the same as most people, that it's been frustrating and not very fun, and the candidates that we get to choose from are not people we would normally support if they were running against just about anyone else. One of the main candidates will win, so it's not a matter of if one of them wins. But I don't know. You know, there are people threatening to leave the country if Trump wins, and there are people threatening to leave the country if Clinton wins too. But one of the interesting things about the election we've been talking about tonight is that it looks like people with a college education by far are supporting Secretary Clinton in her bid. So if this is a report for Wasatch Academy, I just want to encourage all of you guys to be sure to go to college so that you can think critically for yourselves and not be swayed by the likes and dislikes of others, and dig for the truth yourself. That's very, very important. No, you know, honestly, I don't think it will change that much. I worry more about who Trump will put in to help support or to fill his cabinet, and it looks like that the Democrats are not going to take the Senate nor the House. So if we have a Republican president, there'll be no one checking anyone, and that could be extremely scary. And I think of the people who've been supporting Trump in his administration and his campaign. If he takes those guys over to run the country, who've been running his campaign, you know, the truth goes out the window. That's scary to me. Scarier than having Bill Clinton back in the White House.
My opinion on the election. Well, I really feel that it's an election that really matters. It's going to make a huge difference in the kind of country that we have for the next 4 years. And in the case of either candidate winning, I have some really serious concerns. If Donald Trump wins, to me, that's the most terrifying scenario. I think he's categorically unsuited for the kind of pressure and the kind of responsibility and the kind of power that the president has. He's so impulsive. He doesn't manage criticism or anger well at all. And I don't think he particularly cares or bothers with really getting factual information and having the facts influence his decisions. I'm really frightened about what he might do with all the military power that he would have. So I feel a lot more comfortable, honestly, with Hillary Clinton, the prospect of her becoming president. For one thing, she has so much more experience in politics. She served as a senator, she has served as Secretary of State, and in my opinion, she did a stellar job in both those positions. And she's also got a ton of experience having lived in the White House, and she's very much a confidant and a close friend to her husband, Bill Clinton, and he her. And I think that experience would serve her well as president. And she's very careful about decisions she makes and what she says, a lot less likely to go off the handle and strike out in an angry way. So but she is also very much tainted by her political associations and her political experience. Politics is a very dirty business, and I think she's, rubbed up against that you know, all the powerful influences and the powerful lobbies and the big money and all that contributes to the political stew, and she hasn't escaped, you know, kind of that, all those influences. So I think it's an election that really, really matters, and I think it's going to. I also think that this litigious, this impulse to sue that is so strong in the way that Hillary's political enemies operate. She's been inundated with lawsuits for years, and Donald Trump has initiated lawsuits for years. I think that will go on, and the polarization and the enmity and the anger is probably not going to improve in the next 4 years, no matter which of the two is elected, and that's discouraging to me. So anyway, that's where I'm at right tonight.
Well, unfortunately, I think our national elections seem to take longer each cycle and be more expensive, and that's kind of frustrating, and it's kind of disconcerting that the process is one that we end up with these two candidates as the ones that we can pick from. And to me, that indicates that there must be something wrong in our country, that these would be the people that would appeal to the most, the greatest number of voters around the country. And you look at in the past where if someone had misspoken or said something wrong, or they could be out of the race. Where here it doesn't seem to matter what people say, how negative it is, how false it is, how inflammatory it is, and people seem to not be fazed by it. So it's kind of disconcerting to think of where we're headed from here.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I do worry more about someone with no political experience, how they will interact in the system. I'd like to think that there's enough infrastructure and enough checks and balances in the government that one person in one job can't mess things up too badly. But I worry with Trump's personality, will he listen to those around him, or will he just put all these cronies around him so he's not getting good advice, or will he respect the advice and respect the constitutional limitations that are on that office, or will he just do what he feels like he should do, which seems to be his modus operandi?
It's been really long. I'm unhappy with the way it starts about 2 years out. I think our whole election process needs a huge overhaul. I'm really discouraged with the way big money has such an impact on it. I almost feel like our Congress and the presidency are up for sale in a way, with the way that private donations can be made. It's been frustrating, discouraging for both parties. I've been discouraged with both parties, with the way things have gone in this election. Well, one will win. I agree with Steve. Someone is going to win. I have very similar concerns as the ones that have been voiced already about Mr. Trump's suitability as a president, his lack of manners, his lack of taking thought before he speaks, taking advice. He doesn't seem to read anything. It's just astonishing to me. I really feel like part of his appeal to so many Americans is his anger. I think there is a lot of frustration, in our country with things the way they are, but I don't really feel like he's offering anything but anger and stirring up a big storm. I don't see it as a positive effect that he will have I do feel like Hillary has a lot more experience and credentials, and I think she's a better prepared candidate to be president than Trump. So I'm hoping for that outcome. But one thing, the president doesn't run the country all by himself. And we saw in Barack Obama's presidency, he won, but he had a Congress and Senate that he couldn't work with. And so many of the things that he wanted to accomplish did not happen, or did not happen to the full extent that he would like to have had them done. If Mr. Trump wins and has a Republican Congress and Senate, it'd be pretty interesting and a little scary, I think. I'd like to say be glad when it's over, but it just seems like the next thing just starts right after that. So I don't know if it's going to be over after tomorrow. It never is. So I think we need to really work on politics from a grassroots level. We tend to focus on this presidential race. What's really important, I think, to all of us is our congressional races, our Senate races, and even our state legislature. We need to, our districts have been gerrymandered out the yazoo. I just really think that until we get some things straightened out on a lower level, things aren't really going to change on a national level. So.
Well, election is a very important event. We are supposed to elect a president for the United States. I wish we would have a very good option, more choices than just two people. And either one, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, don't seem to me to be the right people to be president of the United States. I don't like the fighting in between those two. I think if both parties would go together and do something good together, that would be the better option. And I wish there would be more options to choose one president. I don't know them well enough to make my judgment. And like I say, I would hope for honest, faithful and true people that are committed to make life for the American citizen easier. This is my opinion.